Most people today assume warm bedrooms are a modern achievement, something only possible with central heating, insulated walls, and electric blankets. That assumption is wrong. In the early 1900s, millions of households slept through harsh winters with no central heat at all, yet they stayed functional, healthy, and resilient. What they understood was not how to heat an entire house, but how to control warmth where the body actually rests. That mindset has largely vanished, and with it some remarkably effective techniques that modern homes ignore entirely. What follows is not nostalgia and not theory. These are proven, repeatable methods used across Europe and North America before the 1930s, methods that still work today and matter even more in an age of energy instability, rising costs, and grid dependence. Bedrooms were treated as microclimates, not living rooms. In the early 1900s, bedrooms were not expected to be warm spaces. They were treated as controlled sleeping environments designed to trap body heat and reduce heat loss rather than generate warmth continuously. This is a critical distinction. Instead of heating air volume, people focused on insulating the human body and the immediate space around it. One practical application still works today. Stop trying to heat the entire bedroom. Lower the thermostat or shut vents entirely and concentrate on bed-level insulation. A modern household can replicate this by sealing off unused rooms, closing doors tightly, and allowing the bedroom temperature to drop several degrees while compensating at the bed itself. This reduces energy use without sacrificing comfort, exactly as households did a century ago. Heavy bed curtains were functional tools, not decoration. Bed curtains were common well into the early 20th century, especially in colder regions. These were not light drapes. They were thick wool, velvet, or layered cotton suspended from frames or ceiling rails, creating a tent around the bed. The purpose was simple: prevent warm air from escaping and block cold air from falling onto sleepers. The physics is straightforward. Warm air rises from the body, hits the curtain canopy, and remains trapped. Cold air from windows and walls is blocked entirely. A modern version can be achieved using ceiling-mounted curtain tracks or even temporary rods with thermal drapes. This is particularly effective for beds near exterior walls or windows. Even partial enclosures, such as curtains on 3 sides, significantly reduce nighttime heat loss. Hot water bottles were used strategically, not randomly. Hot water bottles in the early 1900s were not novelty items. They were positioned deliberately to preheat the bed and maintain warmth through the night. The most effective placement was at the foot of the bed and along the core, not directly against exposed skin. Households often heated bricks or stones alongside water bottles, wrapping them in thick cloth and placing them beneath blankets hours before sleep. This preheating mattered more than adding heat after getting into bed. Today, the same principle applies. Preheat the sleeping space before entry. A modern hot water bottle placed under the covers 30 minutes before bed will outperform a space heater running all night using a fraction of the energy and carrying none of the fire risk. Layered bedding was engineered for heat retention, not softness. Back in the early 1900s, bedding followed a specific order. Linen or cotton sheets went right up against the skin to help manage moisture. Then wool blankets came next, not because they were heavy, but because they could insulate even if they got a little damp. Quilts or feather-filled covers would sit on top to trap the heat that rises up from the body. What really matters here is how each material behaves, not how it looks. Wool, even today, is still unmatched when it comes to regulating temperature. Folks nowadays can actually bring this idea back by putting wool blankets underneath their duvets instead of just sticking with those synthetic comforters. Just one layer of wool can take the place of several modern blankets, and it helps prevent overheating and night sweating, which, leads to losing body heat. Mattress insulation was just as important as the covers on top. People in the early 1900s knew that cold could come up from below just as easily as it could fall from above. That's why straw mattresses, horsehair padding, and thick wool underlays were so common. They kept folks insulated from cold bed frames and chilly floors. These days, a bed on a metal frame or sitting above a cold crawl space can lose heat real fast. Adding a thick wool mattress pad or even just folding a couple blankets underneath the fitted sheet can bring back that lost insulation. Honestly, this one simple change usually makes a bigger difference than just tossing another blanket on top. Bedrooms were sealed at night to stop convective heat loss. Windows and doors in early homes leaked badly by modern standards, so folks compensated by sealing sleeping spaces at night. Draft stoppers, rolled cloths, and layered window coverings were standard practice. Today, even well-built homes suffer convective heat loss through glass. Heavy nighttime curtains, especially those that reach the floor and overlap the window frame, drastically reduce cold air circulation. Applying this only at night mirrors historical use and avoids daytime condensation issues. Sleeping attire was part of the heating system. Night clothing in the early 1900s was designed for warmth and breathability. Wool sleep caps, long nightshirts, and bed socks were common. Heat loss through the head and extremities was understood long before modern studies confirmed it. A practical modern equivalent is simple. Just wear a light wool hat or hooded sleepwear and warm socks reserved only for bed. This allows the core temperature to stabilize faster, reducing the need for excess bedding. Heat sources were used briefly and intentionally. Where bedroom stoves or heaters existed, they were rarely left running overnight. They were used to warm the room before bed, then extinguished. The retained heat combined with insulation strategies carried sleepers through the night. Modern households can replicate this safely by briefly warming a bedroom before sleep, then relying on insulation rather than continuous heating. This mirrors historical practice and dramatically reduces overnight energy consumption. Bed placement was chosen with thermal awareness. Beds were rarely placed directly against exterior walls unless insulated. Corners were avoided. Headboards often acted as thermal barriers, sometimes stuffed or padded. Today, simply pulling the bed a few inches from an outside wall and placing a thick textile or insulated panel behind the headboard reduces heat loss significantly. This is a forgotten detail with immediate impact. These methods work together as a system, not individually. The key lesson from early 1900s bedroom heating is integration. No single trick carried the load. Warmth came from layering multiple small advantages until heat loss was minimized. Modern homes tend to rely on brute force heating, ignoring efficiency at the personal level. When applied together, these methods allow comfortable sleep in rooms far colder than most people believe possible, without discomfort or risk. If you found this breakdown useful and want more historically grounded survival knowledge that still works today, subscribe to Warfield Prepper Chronicles, share this episode with someone who values real-world resilience, and stay with us as we continue uncovering what the past got right and the modern world forgot.